I think we all dreamt about going to space when we were kids. But when the space shuttle program ended in 2011, I discovered a void in my life. That emptiness led to a newfound obsession with space. A few years later, I wound up bidding on a Russian spacesuit as a joke. When the box arrived at my doorstep, my friends asked, "What are you gonna do with a spacesuit?" The answer? What can't I do with a spacesuit? That's how Everyday Astronaut was born. Since then, the suit hasn't left my side. It's even gone around the world with me. From remote villages in Myanmar, rockets, and spaceships. To beautiful fields in Norway.
I'm fighting a cow to get a picture right now.
Here I am on vacation in the beautiful Norway with my beautiful boyfriend.
I even proposed to my wife in the suit at Machu Picchu in Peru. These days I work with leaders in the space industry to create fun and inspirational content. I've even been invited to different NASA facilities across the country, all for the sake of sharing my excitement with the world.
Hey there, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but NASA is doing some incredible things. This is church for us space nerds. This is where Gene Kranz was sitting when people first met him. This is with permission. I still don't know how. I love that I'm standing on something that says urine bags. This thing's gonna fly like a cat in heat. Whatever that means. That dog's gonna have a sore throat by the end of the day, I'll tell you that. Especially once he tries to explain to his friends that he just saw an astronaut flying majestically through the sky for an hour. This thing has officially become the bane of my existence.
Everyday Astronaut's mission is to bring space down to Earth for everyday people, to communicate science through humor and imagination, but most importantly, to spark your curiosity, to want to find your place in the cosmos. Join my adventures as I seek to find out why exploring space is important, inspiring, and quite frankly, really, really neat. Show your support by visiting patreon.com/everydayastronaut. Hi there, good morning or night for me, I guess. It's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to my coverage of NASA's Parker Solar Probe. The first probe, the first anything to really go and touch a star, which is going to be amazing. And don't think this is just getting hucked at the sun. We'll get into some kind of the orbital mechanics of how this is going to happen, how it's going to be the closest thing to the sun, the hottest spacecraft ever, how this is going to be one of the fastest spacecrafts ever. This is a really cool mission, launching on one of my favorite rockets, the Delta IV Heavy, which is made by United Launch Alliance. Here, I'm gonna start training you guys here a little bit about how I do this stuff. Check this out. I have for you guys. I now prepare these on my website at everydayastronaut.com. You can just click on pre-launch previews here. And then look at this. I have Parker Solar Probe is up next. That's right now. It's coming up in half hour. And look at this. I give you all of the things you need to know. So here we have liftoff time, mission name and what it is. Again, United Launch Alliance. So that's Boeing and Lockheed Martin's joint venture. So this is obviously on that Delta IV Heavy. We'll talk a little bit about more. This is a NASA mission. So NASA is sending a really actually quite light payload. This is a small little probe, actually, on one of the biggest rockets. Literally, one of the most powerful rockets, actually, is launching one of the smallest little teeny tiny payloads. This thing only weighs 685 kilograms. So that's 1,500 pounds for us who are metrically impaired. It's not very big. This is launching out of Florida. This is 39B, which is where Delta's launch from. The Delta, normal Delta IVs and Delta IV Heavy, which is the 3-core version of the Delta IV. And it looks like this. You can barely see it there. That's one of my pictures from Orion, which the Orion EFT-1 mission, which used Delta IV Heavy. So this is a really cool mission, guys. Yeah, so you can see all the details you need. And when you guys are ever wondering, oh, what's this mission coming up, blah, 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 just head on over to everydayastronaut.com. I've got you covered. You can get a quick snapshot of whatever you need to know for the next mission coming up. At least the ones, I'm not going to do every single mission ever, but I try to keep up with, especially ones that I'm going to cover, kind of the bigger ones. Just I don't have the time and to manage all this stuff right now. It's already a lot of time. Also, hey Jack and hey Chris, you're going to see Chris. Is going to see this in person. This is your first launch in person. Delta IV Heavy is an awesome vehicle to see for your first launch. That's going to be really exciting. I'm quite jealous, actually. One of the reasons, let me give you a little lesson on why I think the Delta IV Heavy is super fun to see. Depending on how, I hope you're close enough to see it cook itself. That's one of the signature things about all Delta IVs, Delta IV Heavies. They burn hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So similar to like ironically, actually, the orange fuel tank of the external fuel tank of the space shuttle was orange, and it was actually the orange because of the spray foam insulation that would help insulate the liquid hydrogen, which needs to be really cold. Liquid hydrogen needs to be a lot colder, even way colder than RP-1, rocket fuel, and even colder than liquid oxygen to stay as a liquid. And so they spray foam insulate the whole rocket. That's why all three cores, everything basically on the whole thing, is spray foam insulated. And then they light up their RS-68A. They have one on each core, so 3 of them all together. Those things light up, and they belch initially. They belch out, and they have hydrogen that kind of like comes out first in however they do their ignition sequence of the RS-68As. There's a little bit of hydrogen that comes out first, and it kind of just vents out or whatever out the nozzles. But then when they actually ignite the engines, that ends up igniting all that spare hydrogen that's around the vehicle, and you'll see it you might panic if you're anything like the first time I saw it in real life. You can see it pretty spectacular. Like, this looks bad. It's perfectly normal. It's designed to do that, and it's just a nice little bit of taste of some flames before it lights an even bigger flame, which is kind of its signature move. It's pretty cool. So if you see a giant flame at the beginning of this thing, don't panic too much. But this mission is really cool, guys. Here's what's going to happen. So this is going to be one of the fastest spacecraft. I think the only other spacecraft that's any faster is New Horizons, which did that Pluto flyby about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And that's crazy fast. This is in a sense, if you want to think about it this way, it's actually slowing down from Earth's orbit in order to lower its perihelion. So that means it'll go really fast to get out of Earth's gravity. And it actually has a 3rd stage on this Delta IV Heavy. So the Delta IV Heavy already has boosters, strap-on boosters on the 1st stage. So 3 stages light at once. Then it has the standard upper stage, which is, I believe, an RL-10 derivative. So it's another cryogenic upper stage. And then there's I'm forgetting the name of it, a something star. It's a solid upper stage it's going to give it like 3,300 more meters per second of delta V. That's a big kick stage. And again, remember, this thing is tiny. This is such a small probe. It doesn't take much to really move it a lot. It's very lightweight. Again, it's 685 kilograms, 1,500 pounds. It's pretty darn small. And so a kick stage on top of all this is really going to give it a lot of boost. That's going to easily break free of Earth's gravity well. But it's going retrograde, so it's actually going to slow down from Earth's orbit. And that's how you actually lower its orbit to get closer and closer and closer to the sun. So at first, it's going to, in about 6 weeks, it's going to shoot by Venus. Venus is going to make it dogleg and do a gravity assist to lower it and put it into its orbit around, its first orbit around the sun. And then it'll be doing that for a long time. And every now and then, almost about every other, the people that figure out these maps, these charts of gravity assist and stuff are insanely brilliant. I can't even figure out how people figure this stuff out. Yeah, we'll just every now and then sling out back past Venus, and it'll give us another gravity assist and lower our perihelion again, our lowest point closest to the sun. So your orbit, so you can think of apogee and perigee. That's your highest point is your apogee, your lowest point is your perigee in your orbit. And orbits are almost never perfectly circle. Virtually never perfectly circle. Even if you had it, say, a millimeter off, which of course it's going to be, you're still going to have an apogee and a perigee. But apogee and perigee is kind of a generic term. That's around Earth. So when you're in Earth orbit, it's apogee, perigee. When you're around the sun, it's aphelion and perihelion. So the perihelion, the lowest point in this thing, will eventually get down to about, I think it's I wrote it down here because I forgot, 6.4 million kilometers is how close it'll eventually get after a couple Venus gravity assists, which is about 4 million miles. So at that point, too, it'll end up going really, really, really fast. It'll go 700,000 kilometers or 4,300 miles an hour. That is unbelievably fast because, the closer you get to the sun, it's just like falling downhill. You're literally going downhill, and you're falling towards the sun, and so the closer you get to the sun, the more speed you're going to get off its gravity. This is really cool. The people that figure this stuff out are insane, and I see a lot of people are saying hello from bed, and lots of Venus gravity assists. Absolutely. I need to real quick say hello and hi to Tratooth. Hello, just curious, how much was the Boeing spacesuit? Actually, I didn't get a number on that. I could probably ask. I should. It probably is publicly available since it is a commercial crew suit being paid for by NASA. I'm sure I can get a number on that for you. I did actually leave that out. I also did not close the hoodie because I would have died since they didn't have a life support system there with me. Those are the two things that I wish I had done differently, is one, ask the price and talked about that, or at least figured that out, and not zip the hoodie is a little bit of a regret, but I didn't want to die. Also, thanks Bobby, thanks Amadeus. Getting your money's worth of characters. It takes off in about less than 30 minutes right now. We are less than T-minus 30 minutes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make sure. Can someone let me know if the NASA stream pulls up? Because I had maybe a link that might be. Actually, I think I do have a link that's open now. Let me double check that because I want to make sure we have the live stream. That'd be bad. Okay. It might be on right now, but it looks like it's just kind of talking heads at this moment. I want to make sure we're covering all the bases here. And Corona, was there a Falcon the other night? I wish I was there tonight. Sad to say your photos didn't turn. Oh, you were there for Falcon the other night. Sad to say your photos didn't turn out so well. Hey, just keep practicing, keep shooting. It's hard to shoot night photos, but yeah, it's worth it when you get a good streak shot and stuff like that. It's very cool. So good luck next time. Matt Thompson, hello from Ames. Hey, a fellow Iowan. Hello. How are you? I'm glad I can't believe you're up at 2:10 as well. I made the mistake of taking a nap at 11, going to bed basically. I am riding the struggle bus right now. So the other things that I wanted to mention real quick too that's pretty cool about this mission. So this is going to be, like I said, it's going to get closer to the sun than any other probe by, I think, a factor of 10 almost. It's going to get really close, like I said. And one of the things that's interesting, it has this big heat shield on it, which is carbon-carbon, which is the same material as the leading edge of the space shuttle. So not the silica tiles that were on the base of the space shuttle, but the leading edge here. This part and the nose was carbon-carbon, which is a even crazier carbon fiber. That's the same heat shield material they're going to use on the front of this Parker Solar Probe that faces the sun. And then it has a lot of more the silica tiles, which are 90% air, 95% air or something. So they actually absorb a lot of heat. And then it's water cooled using literally water and about only a gallon of it to radiate heat off of it too. But that's going to get crazy hot. It'll get up to 1,370 degrees Celsius, which is 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. And one of the big things that we're trying to figure out here, because it almost breaks our understanding of the laws of physics right now. For some reason, the corona, which is the outer atmosphere basically of the sun, is hotter than the surface of the sun. And we're really trying to figure that out. And we can take images of the sun all day long from a good amount of distance, and we do all the time. But we're trying to figure out, why does it get hotter if you get further away? That basically is, most things that with thermodynamics and with light and things follow the square inverse law. So the further if you get twice as far away from something, it's going to get 4 times dimmer, 4 times less energy absorbed. But not the corona. And this is going to literally, the only way we can hopefully get a better handle on this is to send something into it and really measure what's happening in that corona. So that's what this is doing. This isn't there to take pictures. You know, I think people like me that are, you know, a professional, used to be a professional photographer, you might look at this and go, well, they're probably just going to go and take some pictures and figure it out with photographs. I don't even know if this thing actually has any kind of scientific camera on it at all. It's there to collect data. It's there to read, you know, it has like a magnetometer, or something to collect magnetic waves, radiation. It's there to collect data and hopefully unlock the secrets of why exactly the corona is hotter. So this is an exciting mission, guys. I can't even tell you. This is one of those that kind of snuck up on me pretty quick. And I was all of a sudden like, oh, this is a really cool mission. And also, Parker, the last name Parker, this is the first mission that was named after someone that's actually still living. So I think that's pretty darn cool. Yeah, so this is really, really good. Let's see. Vikrant has an exam in 50 minutes, but you're watching this. Hopefully your exam's on the Parker Solar Probe, and hopefully you nail it. Sven says, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicles at all times. This would be an exciting ride to be on. I'm not going to lie. Going 430,000 miles an hour, 700,000 kilometers an hour. That would be very fast, and it's probably going to receive quite the kick riding on a Delta IV Heavy. Riding on, actually, and we'll talk about this in 1 second. I'll finish saying hi to these people. And Choco Larda, hello from Portsmouth, England. I've become your first Patreon. Well, thank you. You love your videos and you think they're amazing. Well, I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Robin, also hello from Australia. Feeling guilty because I haven't signed up for Patreon yet and even enjoying your channel. Hey, I'd appreciate you saying hi. So thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. I really appreciate you saying hi. So also, yeah, this has it has a white light camera on it. It says in our Discord channel, Droid Omega. I almost read it as Droid Omega. Droid Omega says it has a white light camera on it. So thank you. That's boom. You're in front of the rocket watching me. Well, thank you, Mateo. That's awesome. I wonder if that's Matt by any chance. If so, hi. Tell the rocket I say hi and that I'm sad I'm not there to watch it. Mackenzie says, I bet Tim won't notice me. Wrong. Okay, so good morning from Aaron, Michael, and hi everyone in Discord. So one of the things I did want to talk about real quick, I bet there's a lot of people out there that are saying, here, let me pull this up real quick. Hang on. Here's the mission payload. I want to make sure the mission screen here. Check this out. So this is the Delta IV Heavy. Again, a 3-core booster. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're gonna say. Hey, isn't that kind of like the Falcon Heavy? Isn't the Falcon Heavy more powerful? Well, you'd be right. The Falcon Heavy is over twice as powerful, actually, as the Delta IV Heavy. But that doesn't actually make it twice as capable. The Delta IV Heavy is still extremely capable. And actually, it's obviously going to be... It's an expendable launch vehicle. So it means it's going to be throwing itself away like most traditional rockets do. And in this case, it actually has a decent amount higher, especially when you're doing something beyond low Earth orbit. It's a very efficient rocket, especially that upper stage using an RL-10 engine. It has a large payload fairing. It can actually deliver more payload to further away than a Falcon Heavy when reusable. So that's the thing. We're not really going to be seeing a Falcon Heavy flying in expendable mode, most likely. That's kind of defeating the purpose of the Falcon Heavy. We might someday see one, that might expend like the center core or something if it's something crazy heavy. But for the most part, I'd be very shocked if we actually see expendable Falcon Heavies. And this Delta IV Heavy expendable does deliver a fair amount more. And besides that, when NASA built this rocket, the Falcon Heavy hadn't flown. It was unsure if it was ever going to come out, because this mission has been on the books for like 8 years now, basically, or in the planning. And so they picked the rocket a long time ago, and yeah. So it's still a great rocket. There was a lot of hype around Falcon Heavy, but I do want to remind people that the Delta IV Heavy is an amazing piece of machinery as well, and it's a fantastic choice for doing this mission. I like to always think, I obviously am a huge fan of SpaceX. I'm also a huge fan of ULA. I'm a huge fan of Boeing and Rocket Lab and everyone that's working on putting things in space, you have my number. Like, I'm a huge fan. So obviously I'm a huge fan of NASA. I think that should go on. Can you be a space fan and not be a fan of NASA? I don't think you can. Those two things are pretty intertwined. So yeah, this is a great mission all around because it's a really cool NASA mission, doing something, breaking tons of records, doing the kind of science that only NASA can do. And I talk about this quite a bit, in my videos, but also I talk about this, on live streams. We need to remember that NASA has a huge role still today, even with commercial providers. I know there's a lot of talk maybe with people debating between like SLS and Orion versus other launch providers, launch programs. But don't forget, guys, NASA, who's going to do the science, the incredible groundbreaking science that's going to unlock our understanding of stars, unlock our understanding of solar winds, unlock our understanding of all this stuff. It's not something that a company can profit off of. It's not like you're never going to see, someone's doing this on their own. This takes a team of brilliant scientists that are able to study the probe. And this probe, by the way, flies fully autonomously. It's very redundant because there's about a 7 or 8 minute delay between communication with Earth and the probe. And that's way too much time. If you're talking about if this probe slips and turns a little bit, it could just melt like almost immediately. So it has to have a ton of redundancy and make sure it's always oriented correctly with the heat shield facing the sun. This is a perfect NASA mission, and I just want to remind everyone very humbly that NASA has a huge role still in spaceflight future, and they are what enables the Commercial Crew Program to happen. They're what enables all these commercial providers to do their things. They are literally writing checks for them. They are the people that run the show still and have a huge role in all of this. I want to make sure that's perfectly clear because there's a lot of new space enthusiasts that totally deflect off NASA and totally don't give them credit for the whole legacy, all the things and certifications they're doing for Commercial Crew, all the certifications and things they're doing for commercial providers, all the funding and all of the expertise that is NASA still to this day as much as anything. So just a little disclosure there. I want to make sure we're giving credit where credit is due here. Michael, hey Tim, what do you think about them putting over 1 million names aboard the probe? I think that's really cool. And what other rocket models do you have other than your SpaceX one, and where did you get it? Great question, Michael. So these 3 models are my biggest. These are models by Ollie Braun, so buzzspacemodels.com. They're in the link, a link in the description below. I also have a Saturn V Lego model. I have a little Falcon Heavy here that I kind of hold up and talk about sometimes. I also have like a toy space shuttle that's actually pretty fantastic that I, again, hold up. You've already seen it, both parts of it, even though it's like half broken right now. Yeah, I don't know. I've got stuff just kind of, who knows? But the only ones I know, the Legos you can get anywhere online. The Lego, just look up Saturn V model. And these guys, buzzspacemodels.com. And they're handmade, 3D printed by a guy named Ollie Braun in Germany, and they are unbelievably, they are so detailed, it hurts. It's crazy. Yeah. So thanks for saying hi. Schizo, from what you can find, Boeing received $200 million contract to develop the intravehicular suits, the IVA suits that I wore, and they are expected to cost about $200,000 less per suit. But that was February 2017. I would say that's probably true because that suit's been around for over a year now, or at least publicly available for over a year. So I'd guess the February 2017 quote would be pretty accurate. And $200,000 less per suit. I'm assuming then the IVA suits, the pumpkin suits they're called, or lovingly called, on the space shuttles, probably what they're comparing to. I don't quite remember offhand, but I do think those were about $1 million. If someone could, someone in Discord, if you guys could look that up, that'd be fantastic. And Zach, hello from Waverly. Oh, hello, neighbor. Jeez. Thoughts on Space Force? To be perfectly honest, I don't really know yet. It's still just kind of up right now and out there. It's kind of a buzzword. It's basically, my understanding is it's going to be a rebranding of the Air Force's, presence in space, which is a large presence. There's a good amount that the Air Force does in space, and it basically sounds like they might just make that divide. If you're sending something to space, that'll now be Space Force. Air Force, you do your thing in the air. Space Force, you do your thing in the air. I'm not a big fan of renaming things, needlessly or creating new bureaucracies and all these things. That does actually kind of make sense to me, though, a little bit. Just so there is, some jurisdiction between that and even, I don't know, it might work. We'll see. It's really just cutting a cake in half and calling it two different cakes. It's not really I don't really know if anything's going to be different. I don't think there's going to be human presence in the Space Force. I believe it's just going to be defense, advanced defense and communication systems. I am going to start pulling up the live stream here, guys. It is up. I do want to start listening in. I'll answer a few more questions. Yeah, NASA is live. Thank you, Michael. 1.2 million, so it sounds like these will be about 1 million, says Furon in our Discord. Thank you. Yeah. So there we go. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start listening in here, and let's see what they're talking about. I have to unmute this for 1 second. I want to listen in and see if we're getting any updates.
For example, there might be other satellites that are around Earth that could be in the flight path of the Delta IV Heavy tonight once we launch. So as we look at this analysis, as you said, there are no cutouts or no COLAs for this evening in the launch window for the teams that they have to be aware of. So they'll continue to process forward with this 45-minute window. One of the interesting things about it is they actually start the COLA analysis several days before launch and then provide the last report up to the launch managers on launch day and get ready to help determine the T0 for today's launch.
And it sounds like we're just about to tie into this weather briefing.
Avila standing by.
This RCN Weather Conference Net 8, indicate ready to proceed. LD.
LD.
NLM.
NLM.
AFLD.
AFLD.
And we'll proceed.
This is Yellow. There's no clouds affecting our area and not expecting to have anything significant affect our area in the next 30 minutes. Looking at our constraints, we're going all constraints and not a concern for any space weather as well. Currently now we have just a 5% chance of violating launch constraints. This concludes the weather briefing unless there are any questions.
Indicate questions or acknowledge. LD.
LD.
NLM.
NLM, no questions.
AFLD.
AFLD.
This concludes the weather brief. Thank you, Evo.
Sweet.
Hello out.
Looking good.
And that was the weather briefing that you just heard, short and sweet, which means we have good weather for tonight. As you can see on your screen, the Delta IV Heavy there. No clouds that we're concerned with today. Earlier in the count, we were a little bit worse off, but we've gotten better, so no clouds to worry about. We're go on all constraints. That probability of violation, which is the POV number you see there, is 5%, meaning that we're 95% go. The winds are about 5 knots out of the west, and temperature sitting at about 78, 79 degrees, so no concerns for us tonight, which is a really good thing. And so that's the Delta IV that you see on your screen there with the additional third stage. And we're now at T-minus 8 minutes, 20 seconds and counting.
From the hold. Don't forget,
And for that, we'll go back to Marie Lewis for more information.
All right, thanks, Josh. Parker Solar Probe will set off to soak up the sun in about 28 minutes, but it's already had quite the journey. Here's a look at the months of work that led to this moment.
So I want to take this time to answer a few questions here quick. So I do want to point out that they said T-minus 8 minutes. They do a planned hold, these Delta rockets. ULA does this, where they plan a hold, and they kind of stop the clock, and that gives them time to review everything, and then it goes back into an automated hold or countdown after that, where they basically say, okay, we're good to go, hit play, basically. And then the rocket goes into a thing. It's different than SpaceX. Basically, SpaceX's entire T-minus 4-hour countdown is entirely automated. So this is different. It gives them a chance to, it's a little bit more, hands-on. I think SpaceX wants to be more automated, and they want to be more, remove the humans from the equation. But this, the Delta IVs and Atlas V and ULA in general has been more hands-on. So you will see the clock, if they put it up, which they haven't yet. If it stops, that's on purpose. That's an intentional hold. And then after that, they'll clear it. And they did say T-minus 30 minutes or 20-something minutes a little bit ago. So that means they have pushed back a little bit into their launch window. But they do have a pretty long launch window of, I think, about 2 hours today. And then they do have 2 hours, or 2 weeks, to actually get this thing. Because it does have to make that transit, that flyby past Venus. So it is almost like a planetary mission. Even though it's going to the sun, it does rely on Venus and the orbital alignment of Venus in order to make this mission work. So if it can't, say there happens to be some major error or like manufacturing error with the Delta IV Heavy, which I wouldn't bet on, that means that it'd actually be delayed for over a year until they do line back up. Let's see here. So, okay, I'm going to answer a few questions. So I guess it looks like the pumpkin suit may have been $88,000 at the time, so $180,000 each back in the day. But I don't know how it could be $200,000 less than that, because it'd mean that they'd pay Boeing $20,000 per suit. So we'll have to look for better sources on the actual price of the Boeing suit still. David, where did I get these planet models? These are MOVA globes. Link in the description. Also, if you go to my website, if you ever have any questions about like what equipment I use, if you ever want to know like what web camera I use, what microphone, what anything, you can go to my website, go to partners, and there you'll see a list of all my equipment, because I do get those questions quite a bit. And Thomas, why don't SpaceX fairings burn up in the atmosphere? I wouldn't. First off, let's make sure, in general, not only SpaceX fairings, but basically any fairing. Although SpaceX does jettison their fairings pretty early, at about T+ 3 to 3.5 minutes or so, is when SpaceX jettisons their fairings. The Delta IV Heavy, and especially like the Atlas V, will hold on to fairings for a long time, up to like 4.5 minutes, I think. So they do get quite a bit faster, and those might get close to burning up. But the big thing is they have a large, and I actually have a video coming out about this here really soon. I'm almost done with it. They're big, they're very lightweight, they have a large amount of surface area, so they don't have a lot of mass behind it. Think about dropping a pencil versus dropping a feather. You know, the pencil will cut through that atmosphere a lot quicker. Same with the fairing. The fairing is a big, empty carbon fiber and aluminum shell, and as it kind of hits the atmosphere as it re-enters, it slows down a lot quicker. It doesn't encounter nearly as much heating on re-entry due to the compression bow shock wave on the leading edge of it. The atmosphere basically won't transmit as much energy into it, because it's able to slow down so quickly as compared to like say a Falcon 9 booster or a space shuttle booster even though it might be going a lot faster even, but it will slow down quicker and able to survive re-entry, but we'll talk about how they recover it in an upcoming video. And Parker is an alien probe. I mean, it's actually not, because really our sun is not, our sun is the center of our solar system, so I don't know if that makes it, it's not very alien to me. It is going to go probe the sun, though, in a sense. So, yeah, no. Someone has to, and let's see. Just trying to read, make sure I'm not missing anything here, guys. Yeah, much less kinetic energy is a great answer from Andrew Church in the chat. Said it has a lot less kinetic energy, and that's exactly right. That means, it obviously it has a lot less mass and a lot more surface area than, say, a booster. So, sweet. How are you, Archduke Tyler? In Discord, everything's looking good. We're going to go ahead and listen in here, make sure we get any updates. We'll see if they tell us anything new.
Technology than you can even believe. And so we've needed that leap in technology to be able to enable us to do this incredible mission.
That is definitely incredible. And what about you personally? You've been on this mission for 8 years now?
Yes, 8 years. And so it's been a long road, but it seems like it's gone by like that. It's just wonderful to work with this team, and it's incredible to be standing here today looking at that Delta IV Heavy over there and waiting for it to take to the skies.
Will you be watching the launch with Dr. Parker himself?
I will be. I'm privileged.
Cool.
I will be standing right behind him, or as close to him as I can be, and I can't wait to see the look on his face when that Delta IV Heavy clears the pad.
That's very cool.
Wonderful. Well, I have to say, one of the things I've admired most about throughout this mission has been your incredible wardrobe. So.
Oh, today's rocket.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to this incredible launch. And with that, Marie, we'll go back to you.
All right. Thanks, Tori and Nikki. Let's go back to Franklin with more from heliophysicist Eric Christian. Franklin?
Thank you, Marie. Eric, during our first segment, we talked about the first question that Parker Solar Probe is going to answer, but there are actually two more Tell us about them.
So one of the questions you saw a nice presentation from NASA on, and that's the coronal heating problem. Why is the corona so much hotter than the surface of the sun? Really strange. Parker Solar Probe is going to be in the region where the corona is still being heated, and so we can see exactly where that heat is coming from. The other question is, how is the solar wind, this stream of particles that blows out from the sun in all directions, how is that accelerated up to 1 million miles an hour? We don't know. And from Earth, the entire signature of the origin gets smeared out 93 million miles as it travels from the sun to the Earth. We need to be close to the sun in order to answer these basic questions.
Now, we were talking about the smearing that you were talking about just now, earlier today when we were doing our rollback segment, and you said that the solar winds from the sun can stretch as far as Pluto?
They go out way beyond Pluto, actually. The sun has blown a bubble in interstellar space that we call the heliosphere. It's what heliophysicists consider to be the solar system. It goes out beyond the orbit of Pluto, and we now have a spacecraft, Voyager 1, that for the first time has left that bubble.
Okay, I'm seeing a few good questions pop up over and over that I wanted to actually address, because that's the point of this. This is important stuff to listen to here with what the actual NASA personnel are saying, but I do want to make sure I'm addressing people that are tuning in just now. And the number one question I'm seeing is, why won't this probe melt? There's a few reasons. Number one, although it's going to be crazy hot, 1,370 degrees Celsius, which is 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, that's really hot, but it has a lot of systems to mitigate heat. It starts off, the whole entire probe itself is basically has a giant heat shield that stays oriented towards the sun, and that is made out of a carbon-carbon leading edge, or a carbon-carbon heat shield, which is just like the leading edge of the space shuttle. So that's this part here, and on the nose had carbon-carbon. It also has then behind it another like good amount of silica for additional heat shielding, and then it also has actual active cooling on it, and it has some solar panels that actually pop out when it gets closer to the sun that are different from the ones that are further away from the sun, because obviously, again, solar energy follows a square inverse law. So if you get twice as far away, you lose 4 times the amount of potential energy from the sunlight. So actually, as the probe gets further and further away from the sun, it actually kind of switches out solar panels. And the ones that are far away don't need to be actively cooled. The ones that are close are small because they don't need to be as big, and they are actually actively cooled with radiators, which is really cool. And so that's one of the ways. The other ways, even though it's really close to the sun, and even though there's like 1 million degrees Fahrenheit, in the corona, it's crazy, crazy, crazy hot. Despite that, here we go. This might teach us exactly whatever that was. I hope they do an experiment about it. And if so, I totally want to listen because I do want to hear more about how it's going to do. Oh, here we
have a piece of the heat shield for Parker Solar Probe, which is a sandwich panel made of carbon that's like the graphite epoxy you might find in your golf clubs or your tennis rackets, some carbon foam, and then another piece of carbon-carbon on the back. It's very lightweight, as you can see. And here I've got a blowtorch, and I'm gonna use it to get the front surface of this glowing hot, and then we'll have a nice demonstrator come in and touch the back with his hand. So let's get this started. You can start seeing it glowing red. The real heat shield gets up to about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, which we're not going to do today, but we are going to get it to a couple of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going pretty good now. Curtis, why don't you touch the back surface of that? What does it feel like? Nice and cool, he says, which is just how we like it, keeping the spacecraft cool.
We are now just minutes from liftoff. Let's go over to the Mission Director Center for a live update from United Launch Alliance, and then Josh will take us through the count. Josh?
Thank you very much. I'm now joined by Alyssa Macbeth from United Launch Alliance. Welcome to the program, Alyssa.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
And Alyssa, can you tell me a little bit about ULA and what it's been like to work on this Parker Solar Probe mission?
Yeah, so it's so exciting to always get to work on an interplanetary mission. It's a great opportunity for ULA to launch a rocket that will put the satellite in.
Okay, so yeah, so people are still asking about the cooling, and the other thing we need to remember is there's actually very sparse amount of particles there. There's not a lot of, it's not like sitting in the atmosphere, where the atmosphere you have not only heat, but you also have temperature and heat are kind of different things, and this is beyond my expertise. So please listen. There's other videos that do a way better job of explaining this. But basically, like, imagine sticking your hand in the oven. The convective heat and the radiative heat are two different things. So, you can stick your hand in an oven without touching anything, and the air around it's pretty hot, right? But you're not going to burn your hand if you just kind of reach. That's why you can reach into an oven and take something out. But say you touch something, because obviously if you touch metal that's scalding hot, that's going to, immediately conduct a lot of heat. But sticking your hand through the air, where there's not nearly as much material that's warmed up touching your skin, it's not going to heat up your hand to scald it right away. It's not going to do that. And that's similar to the spacecraft, which will, there's just not actually that many particles there. The atmosphere is very, very, very thin around the sun and the corona. So, I again, don't entirely, don't take every word, don't hang on every word I just said, but that's kind of the overall idea behind it. Again, that's outside of my expertise. But yeah, it's, again, but they do have all this active thermal protection to make sure that the spacecraft can survive that close to the sun. And obviously they probably did a good job of knowing how close they could do it using, the materials they're doing. So this is talking about here real quick, they're just looking at, this is the third stage that they're going to use, which will again so at about T plus 40 seconds, it's going to ignite that third stage, which is a solid rocket motor. It's going to give it 3,300 meters per second of extra delta V, which is a ton. That's a huge kick stage. And William, yeah, I do want to make sure everyone, please chill on the SFS stuff. I don't know if this is actually a bot or what is going on, but we're going to go ahead and remove. If from now on, guys, oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, if I hear one more thing about SFS, you will be banned. And, yeah, I'm sorry to have to do this, but that's just ridiculous, guys. If we have any moderators on our team here, let's go ahead and start banning anything that talks about 1.4. That's just utter spam. So here we go. Sorry, guys. All right. Yeah, so we are getting, I wish they had the clock up. I just want a countdown clock. Is that too much to ask? Because they've moved the time a few times, and I'd really, really, really like to see it. Star 48V. Yes, that is exactly what this is. And this is the first time they're using a third stage, a kick stage, on a Delta IV Heavy, I believe. All right. We're going to listen in here and see what they're saying.
Ready for that final pull before we head into the terminal count.
So United Launch Alliance has facilities all over the U.S. Can you talk more about ULA as a whole and what they've put forward to design, build, and launch this Parker Solar Probe mission, and how do the teams company-wide work?
Yeah, definitely. So it takes a large group of people, exemplary people, to get where we are at this point. So we have design engineers who brilliantly produce and develop a rocket, and then the production sites in Alabama and Texas provide a perfect product to the launch site where we put it all together and do the final installations and hookups to prepare for launch. Teamwork is a standard at ULA. There's no doubt about it that we hold that to a high degree, and we wouldn't be United Launch Alliance without that team. So, all the sites are working together and to get us to this point.
And for those of you that are just joining us, I'm sitting here with Alyssa Macbeth of United Launch Alliance, and we're inside of the T-minus 4-minute hold. This is a 20-minute hold, so on our launch clock, we're about 11 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. On your screen, you're looking at a live shot of the Delta IV at Space Launch Complex 37, which is the East Coast home for the Delta IV Heavy rocket. Alyssa, can you explain to me why this mission is so significant to United Launch Alliance?
Yeah, so this is actually our 6th launch of this year. It's our 129th successful launch as ULA since we formed in 2006. As you said, there are 3 stages with this specific payload, and the energy required is something that only our vehicle can do. It's the only rocket out there that can do what Parker Solar Probe needs it to do. So it's definitely significant in terms of performance of our rocket. We get to kind of show off here a little bit and
big time.
Show the world what ULA can do.
And again, on your screen, another shot of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket at Space Launch Complex 37. Behind it, you see the mobile service tower, which is used to, it provides an access point for the rocket. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the mobile service tower does when it's around the rocket?
Yeah, so the mobile service tower provides 360-degree access. So any part of the rocket that you would need to get to in order to install avionics boxes, or get to the engines, or install ordnance.
Really quick, the mobile service tower is really cool. It actually is a building that moves really slowly, which is really exciting. But I did want to mention real quick, people are noticing the flame here. That is hydrogen burn-off, so they have a hydrogen tank right there. And as it boils off, instead of it ever becoming a giant cloud and potentially becoming a big boom, they actually let it purposefully burn off, and they do ignite it as it comes out of that tap off. That's intentional. It's nothing to worry about. But you can see it, right? I mean, look at how it's pretty darn big there. Yeah, again, this rocket does use hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, and that has a really low boiling point. So it boils off a lot colder than other things. So it's easy to boil off, and they just want to make sure they're not risking anything by having a giant cloud of hydrogen all of a sudden encounter a spark and creating a problem. So it does burn off as it does that. And F-Logic, hey Tim, we went to summer camp in July at the ULA Mission Control. You got to see a wet dress rehearsal for this launch, so you're especially excited. That's really cool. A wet dress rehearsal is when they fuel up the tanks fully. They basically go through the whole pre-launch countdown without igniting the engines. They do everything. They even fuel it, and they drain the fuel and recycle it. So that would be really exciting. Why is there not an actual countdown clock? And I saw some people say, oh, my head's hiding it. My head's not hiding it. There just isn't a countdown clock, which I'm really confused by. Yeah, the other thing that people were asking too is, why is there so much smoke pouring off the rocket? Like that, right there. Perfect shot. That's not smoke. That's condensation. That's actually just water vapor coming in contact with the really cold liquid oxygen boil off. So again, liquid oxygen itself is really, really cold too. And actually for this rocket, no, it might come in contact with the boil off of the liquid hydrogen as well. But I'll just speak from my knowledge about liquid oxygen. As it warms up, it's like minus 207 degrees Celsius is its solid freezing point. I think it's minus 107 degrees Celsius or something is its freezing point. As soon as it gets warmer than that, which obviously Florida is probably 17 degrees Celsius right now or something, so the ambient air outside of the rocket is a lot warmer than the really, really, really cold liquid oxygen inside the rocket. So as that does warm up due to the ambient temperature, it expands and turns into a gas, which is how we're most, we breathe oxygen. It's a gas. We don't breathe we don't drink liquid oxygen. It'd kill us. And so as that vents out, it's still really cold. It's still like minus 100 degrees Celsius. And it comes in contact with the water vapor in the air, and it creates condensation clouds. And you can see that right there. That's actually just a great shot. It's not smoke. Everything's okay. It's perfectly normal. This is kind of like a living, breathing rocket. And it's really cool that in order to make something have a crazy hot exhaust and shoot all these flames out one end in order to propel it in the opposite direction, that it has to be really cold in order to do that. And that's just really exciting stuff. That's really cool to me. Renown Gaming just got off work. Guess you haven't missed a thing. You're right. And thanks for saying hi. Oh.
Alex. Go. Locks. Go. LH2.
Go.
Second stage systems locks.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Third stage systems. Third stage vehicle manager. Go. Electrical systems. Airborne. Go. Ground. Go. Facility. RFFTS. Go. Flight control. Go. COM.
Go. Do that. Good.
GCQ.
Go.
Just make sure I.
Operation support.
No go pending the resolution of the TISR anomaly just briefed on 6.
Roger. Pneumatics.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
HAZGAS.
Go.
ACS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
No go VME status.
Roger. Anomaly chief.
No go VME status.
Roger. Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Roger.
No
LD, LC.
Status.
LD on 1. Yeah, we have a no-go conditions going to not ready with your direction. Roger. LC switch not ready.
What's
AC, please
vehicle?
inform me of the not ready condition.
We will get you a report as soon as possible.
Roger.
Uh-oh. We might have a scrub tonight.
And as you just heard, that was the poll done at the L-7 mark. And as you heard on the countdown, that we're right now in a no-go status. We'll stand by for more information.
While we're waiting for this, I'm going to see if people are saying that ULA's countdown stream actually has... let me just try pulling that up real quick. I'm going to keep listening in here. I'll just do this so it's not the entire screen. ULA. Let's see if that's their YouTube channel. Okay, maybe ULA. Probably United Launch. Okay, so let's see if they actually have...
Okay, all personnel in at 1. All console operators maintain system readiness. Allow the anomaly team to investigate the condition and be ready for a new T0 coordination.
Okay, I'm gonna real quick be sending. I'm gonna be putting up a new. I want a new stream that actually shows. That's the stream I had open, but that one still didn't have a countdown clock for me. Let's make sure. No, that one doesn't have it. That's so weird. Okay, so I'm gonna keep listening in here to that and have that up here to talk because I don't even know what VME is. So what they're doing right now though is they do a go no go poll right before they're ready to actually commit and basically hit the play button where it goes into an automated launch sequence. So the rocket's standing there fully fueled and it can actually stay there topped off for a long time. They can continue to replenish it. But yeah, I've actually never heard. I don't know what VME. Does anyone have VME in our Discord or anything? Oh, it's a
If you're just joining us, you see that the clocks are at L-4 minutes, T-4 minutes during the terminal count readiness poll. That would allow us to exit the T-4 minute hold. We had a condition which the teams are looking into as we speak, and so we'll look to establish a new T0 at a time coming up. Mick and I will continue to monitor the situation here from the Mission Director Center, and we'll bring you more as we know.
Okay, so we're just kind of waiting to hear what's going on exactly. Don't worry. Again, just so you know, just as a friendly reminder, holds are a lot cheaper than booms. We only get one chance at this. The satellite on top of there is a crazy expensive. The whole mission all together throughout the development phase, building and flying the Delta IV Heavy and continue to operate and perform all the science is like $1.5 billion. So let's not rush this. Let's not just get, we said it's going to be this time, let's go. Again, this is rocket science. They want to make sure they're covering all their bases, making sure everything's perfectly nominal. It's not worth go fever, as they say. This is currently a no-go. We are in a hold. So then we'll find out. Yeah, people exactly. Vertical memory expansion, virtual machine environment. I don't know if that's right. So yeah, vehicle main engine. That's not a bad idea. Real quick, Sven, sorry, asks, do they have insurance? They do actually have insurance on these things. And I have no idea who's the underwriter for those, because I remember actually that came up a lot when SpaceX lost the Amos 6 satellite as insurance. And the interesting there is SpaceX lost the satellite not during a launch. So it was being fought by the insurance because they're like, well, you guys weren't launching, so you weren't covered. And they're like, we were testing. So SpaceX does a test fire, and they used to do a test fire, a static test fire on the launch pad with the payload on top. So they'd fully fuel the rocket and then, light the engines and then turn it off and then, make sure everything's good to go before the launch. And the insurance company actually was fighting them because they're like, you weren't launching, you were testing. So we're not going to cover the satellite, the $600 million satellite. And I don't actually, to be perfectly honest, I don't remember how that resolved. But there is actually insurance writers for spaceflight hardware, which is crazy. And that's a great question, Sven. And Morgan also said, love your channel, huge space nerd, and your videos are awesome. Could you please explain the physics of elliptical orbits and gravity assist? Gravity assists are so confusing. You're not the only one that thinks are unfamiliar with Scott Manley. Check him out on YouTube. He does such a good job of, geez, like a really more of a rocket geek.
We're here in the
actual
Mission Director Center,
let's hear.
monitoring as launch teams continue to work toward a liftoff time. Mick, can you tell me what the launch teams are working on?
Yeah, the teams right now are, in the T-4 holding. You heard the poll for the no-go situation that they're doing. And so the teams are taking this chance while the assessment is being done to evaluate what's going on. The other parts of the team are taking a look at the rocket and just verifying that all other aspects of the vehicle are still within specifications and ready to proceed forward with the T0 tonight. So as the EGSE team takes a look at what's going on, they'll get back to the launch director and launch conductor to let them know their resolution, and we'll look forward for a new T0 as we continue to hold here at T-4, using up some of the window that's still available. Right now we have 39 minutes left in the launch availability window for this evening's launch.
So you're looking at a live shot of the Delta IV Heavy with the additional third stage on your screen there. Mick and I will continue to monitor the count, and we'll bring you updates as we know it.
Okay, so a couple questions we saw there. VME bus. Oopsies, wrong window there that I'm trying to drag. I don't like my thing being right there in the middle. Put it back there, just looked funny on the other guy's head. So we'll continue to monitor this and figure out if we, waiting. So, so the backup opportunity, I believe tomorrow night, they have a 14-day launch window altogether to get this mission off the ground. They just said they only have 39 more minutes for a launch opportunity. That'd only be about 1 hour launch window. Is that? Let me see. What did I have here in my? What did I have here in my pre-launch preview? Wait, where did that go? Pre-launch preview tells us that it had a 65-minute launch window. There, that's all I had to do is check my own website. So that would explain why there's only a 39-minute launch window left. So, so they have only a certain, based on the fact that it's going to be firing retrograde, it has a relatively small window. It's not a 24-hour window, obviously, but the Delta IV Heavy can sit out there for like 4 hours normally, so they are constrained by the actual maneuvering of how it needs to actually eject out of, it has to eject retrograde into its orbit around the sun, so it has to go and slow down. So let me remind you guys about the fire. The fire is there. It's a hydrogen tap off basically. So there's a giant hydrogen tank out there, and they vent out the excess hydrogen as it warms up and goes from liquid hydrogen to gas, and then they just make sure they burn it off so that it doesn't cause a big cloud. You can see it there. So it doesn't cause a big cloud and then all of a sudden spark and have a big problem. Remember the Hindenburg? Yeah, that was hydrogen. So let's not do that. David, okay, so Michael says they were talking about the VME bus, which you can find by looking on Google. I did a quick Google search and it didn't pull up anything that I was confident enough to talk about. So VME bus, I still don't know what VME stands for though. Video Music Excellence, probably, is my guess. David Hoya says Aeon ISB is the payload that insures SpaceX. They don't insure the launch vehicle, just the payload. That's awesome to know. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. There we go. There's the answer. Aeon ISB. Thank you for the knowledge, David, and thanks for the tip, too. And Sven wants to know, does hydrogen burn orange? You'll see, actually, when hydrogen burns, it burns really clear, and its only byproduct is water, actually. So it just produces water because it's hydrogen and oxygen. H2O. You'll see it's actually a really clear flame when it comes out of the exhaust of the rocket, out of the nozzle. You almost won't even see the exhaust. But there is... I don't know if it's just because of how rich or whatever, how lean the mixture is when it's just venting like that. Ooh, we do have a T-minus 4 o'clock. Finally, we have a clock up on the thing. And again, remember, they go into a hold, a predicted hold, leading up to that go, no-go poll. So they did the go, no-go poll, and they did let us know that they have a VME. VME was no-go, which I'm still trying to figure out exactly what VME is. And F-Logic wants to know in our Discord, how long can the liquid oxygen hydrogen stay on the pad before boiling, or is it the temperature regulated by the rocket pad systems?
You're looking at a live shot of the Delta IV Heavy rocket at Space Launch Complex 37 on Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. On the bottom of the right of your screen, you see the T clock, which is stopped at the T-minus 4 minute mark. Mick, can you tell us a little bit about the clocks?
Yeah, the T clock is used by the team to continue working through the launch procedure. We also have an L clock, which has the built-in hold times. Of course, we're at the T-minus 4 and holding point right now, so there's no more hold time remaining. So we're actually in this hold pattern using up some of our available launch window this evening. We had 45 minutes left over in our launch window. We're down to 35 minutes in that launch available window right now as teams continue to work through the issues that they've identified during the last poll before moving into terminal count. You know, it's been a very busy morning for us here, starting with tower roll all the way through fueling. There have been a lot of things the team has been working, and they continue to work diligently through this issue as they want to assess and make sure everything is in perfect order before moving into the terminal count for a on-time liftoff later this morning.
So while the T clock holds at the T-minus 4 mark, we'll continue to monitor the launch teams, and we'll bring you more updates.
And then also I do want to say, yeah, Cody's Lab sounds like he's watching. Hi, Cody. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Looks like, and Fraser Kane. Geez, hi, guys. The internet friends are here. Vehicle mustn't explode. And then General Mayhem also wants to know if Sea Launch will ever come back. Unlikely. We're into the opposite of Sea Dragon. So the idea with Sea Dragon was to make a big, heavy, but inexpensive launch vehicle. But make it so huge that it doesn't matter if it's inefficient. Basically make like a giant fuel tanker with a rocket engine on the bottom. And make it huge and stupid at the loss of efficiency. Like, throw efficiency out the window if it's cheap to manufacture and just a big, dumb, giant booster. That's what Sea Dragon was. We went the opposite way in the 21st century. We went smart and with the reusable model as our future, trying to reuse spacecraft and use advanced manufacturing techniques to make rockets cheaper in the first place. That's the other way of doing it. So I don't think Sea Dragon will ever come back. I think we're just going to get smarter and more reusable vehicles in the future. Great question, though. And someone else wanted to know about topping off. So I believe the Delta IV Heavy can sit on the pad fueled for about 4 hours because they can just keep pumping it in. And this is different than how SpaceX does things now. SpaceX has instantaneous launch windows these days. That means if they miss their intended, if they're starting to fuel, and if they get to T-minus 0, they cannot refuel or reset really quickly because they use super chilled propellants. And so they can't just keep pumping it in. They can only chill it for so long, throw it into the rocket, and the rocket has to go within this little window of time when the propellant is as cold as it can be. And that's different than like the Delta IV Heavy and most other launch vehicles actually can sit on the pad for a while and just continually be pumped in. But because the propellants aren't super chilled and they're just at their storage operating temperature, they can just kind of be continually pumped in and refueled as it boils off. Because as it heats up, you see it venting out there. It's just replenished. And so it can sit on the pad and have a large window even while it's sitting there fully fueled. And again, the space shuttle did that too. They would fully fuel actually all previous launch vehicles that had humans on it, actually I think all previous launch vehicles, period, have some kind of window like that once they're fully fueled. And they can sit there and they're safe in that launch condition like that. So that is very different than again SpaceX, who's actually had to make NASA like check off and say you're good to go with a load and go procedure, which means they're going to actually put people on top of the Crew Dragon capsule and then load it up with propellant liquid oxidizer while people are sitting inside it. And that's very different. Normally a vehicle is safed like this, and then they would put people on top of it, which in my head, I know this is me with a small understanding of this stuff, but it seems dangerous to have, you have like millions of pounds of potential explosives sitting there, and you have not only the astronauts that are boarding the vehicle, but you also have ground crew that are helping them get in the vehicle, exposed to any potential risk. And I know it's actually pre-Amos 6, pre-SpaceX, September 1st, 2016, when they lost a vehicle on the pad. It'd been a long time since we'd actually had any vehicles blow up on the pad during fuel up, like 50 years. So it doesn't happen almost ever at all. But SpaceX experienced a new launch, or a new failure that no one had ever experienced before. But now they did get approved to actually have astronauts sit inside it while the vehicle's empty, and then load it up while they're in it, and then go. So load and go, and that's very different. That had to have some rethink and a whole new like certification and a stamp of approval from NASA. But in my opinion, from like just starting fresh, I know it's something we've never done before, but you can think about it as at least the astronauts are in the safest place they can be. They're in a pressure vessel with a heat shield and abort motors, so if something were to go wrong during the fuel up procedure, they're in a safe place. And that can't be said the same as if if a vehicle's fully loaded with propellant and astronauts are about to board, and if something happens while you're like literally stepping in, it's not going to be a good day. So to me, that actually that makes more sense in my mind. But since it was different and never been done before, it took a little bit extra approval, a little extra, come on NASA, trust us, this will work, this will be okay.
From Delta Launch Control, we're at
Let's
the
hear this.
T-minus 4 minute mark and holding. On your screen you see the Delta IV there, the Delta IV Heavy with the additional third stage. Teams are continuing to work, although the T clock is stopped, and we'll bring you more information as we know it for the launch of NASA's Parker Solar Probe. The Parker Solar Probe's observations from directly inside the corona will help scientists understand why the Sun's atmosphere is some 1,000 times hotter than its surface. The mission will provide unprecedentedly close observations of the solar wind, the constant outflow of solar material hurled from the Sun at 1 million miles per hour. NASA's Parker Solar Probe will also study how solar eruptions accelerate particles to such energies that they can pose a hazardous condition for astronauts and technology in space. Understanding more about the fundamental processes near the Sun will provide key information to better understand their effects on the space environment near Earth, such as space weather can damage the orbits of satellites, shorten their lifetimes, or interfere with onboard electronics. The more we learn about what causes space weather and how to predict it, the better we can protect the satellites we depend on. Understanding more about space weather also helps protect astronauts from dangerous radiation exposure during potential human spaceflight missions exploring the Moon and Mars. The Sun is the only star that can be studied up close. Observing the star we live near sheds light on stars throughout the universe. Parker Solar Probe is the newest addition to NASA's heliophysics fleet. Missions that study the vast interconnected system from the Sun to the space surrounding Earth and other planets to the farthest limits of the Sun's constantly flowing streams of solar wind. Parker Solar Probe provides key information about how the Sun drives this dynamic and complex system.
Okay, so as we're waiting for that, I want to answer a few more questions. So Michael mentions VME Bus, the Versa modular Eurocard bus, is a bus system designed by Motorola, but I actually have a really trusted source who works at Northrop Grumman that said the VME bus is literally only for satellites. It's not something that they would call out on a countdown, and they don't think it is the VME the Eurocard bus. They think it's something else, and it might be something like vehicle management something, something more generic. I am excited to hear them actually explain that. I still don't know what it is, but that is what VME bus would be, but I don't think that's the same, unfortunately. But thank you for helping, and hopefully we'll figure it out too. And Jack, love your channel. Would you rather colonize Mars or Moon first? Personally, unfortunately, I don't think living on the moon is actually as attainable as living on Mars, although getting there and back is a billion times easier. Not a billion, but a lot easier, a lot more. If something happens up there, you can get there in 3 days as opposed to 6 months. At best, when the launch window's right. So it might be like 2 years before you actually get help. I'd rather have 3 days versus 2 years. And just being able to live on the moon and look up and see your home planet right there would, I think, psychologically be a lot easier. So personally, I'd rather hang out on the moon for a short period of time and hang out and have fun than go to Mars. Mars just sounds extra scary and dangerous and far away. So yeah, good question. Michael continues to talk about the VME buses are using traffic control systems, weapon control systems, telecommunication data, blah, 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 and robots, video imaging and robots. Great. I'm not entirely sure if we know exactly what the VME that they're talking about. And yeah, Pampalak in our Discord says virtual machine environment. We've had a lot of different things. A virtual machine environment might be what it is, but I'll wait until they actually tell us what their VME stands for because it might just be different. So thanks for your guys' help. So unless you know for sure, yeah, vehicle management environment could potentially there. That vehicle management environment sounds, yeah. So Josh wants to know the exhaust nozzle, or says the exhaust nozzle contains graphite, which is why the exhaust is orange. Love your content. Well, thank you very much, Josh. That's awesome. I did not know that. There we go. That's a great answer. Thank you so much for letting us know, and dang, some good knowledge. Thank you. General Mayhem, sorry, I meant Boeing Sea Launch. Did I say drag? I might have misread it too. Okay, so Sea Launch versus Sea Dragon. Sorry, and I totally answered the wrong question. I don't know if Boeing Sea Launch will ever come back. I don't think so. That's actually been sold off to a different company. Even the platform, there's a platform that went out and you'd launch a rocket from the ocean, which is a cool concept. I don't think that's ever coming back, unfortunately. I have not heard anything about that. Thomas Webb, why are they using a solid third stage that's not very throttleable? No, it's not at all throttleable, but sometimes that's okay. If you know your exact destination, the exact amount of delta V you need, a solid works just fine. It's probably, I'm sure, is a matter of being inexpensive, reliable, because you want to make sure that thing goes off, and solids are very good at that. As a matter of fact, I think I heard one time that in the history of I don't know if it's ULA or whoever, but solids themselves have had a 100% commit when when you commit to fire. There's never been a failure with it not firing. That's not to say there's never been problems with solid rocket motors, because they do. Space shuttle's a good example.
LC1 is ACM ready to outbrief the VME disable hit.
Roger. LD net 1. LD. NLM net 1.
NLM.
Proceed, AC.
Okay, this occurred about a minute after the expected response from the ground PSM stream. This is from the vehicle. The team has evaluated the data. We recognize that it was from the vehicle. The streams are good, and we are in a good position to proceed. The risk level is the same as what we had discussed previously and voted to proceed. So the anomaly team is recommending we try again.
Sweet.
LC concurs. LD. LD concurs. NLM.
NLM concurs.
Awesome. This launch manager concurs, kind of signing off on it. So hopefully we'll see them come. They'll probably announce that they're going to go into that terminal hold, that 4-minute countdown.
And you're looking at a live shot of the Delta IV Heavy at Space Launch Complex 37. If you're just joining us, we are at T-4 and holding. We started tonight with a 65-minute window. We now are down to 23 minutes. But Mick, can you tell us a little bit about what we just heard on Countdown 1?
Yeah, absolutely. The team evaluated the vehicle from the no-go situation they had in the T-4 poll a little earlier. What they were working on was a ground data stream that comes from the launch vehicle back to the computers in the control center. And the team looked at that data hit that they had gotten and have determined that they completely understand it, and the data stream has returned to its normal operation, and the level of comfort is good, and they are ready to proceed forward as they reported to the launch conductor.
Roger, 08:28:000. RC, LC?
RCN1.
Please coordinate a new T00828.
Roger and work.
ALC, please set the clock for 0828.
Roger.
OBM LC Net 1.
Go LC.
Okay.
New target T0082800.
828. Oh, 08. That's
Copy.
UTC time.
Target 082800. We'll proceed into checklist A.
So 15
Roger.
minutes.
LC clock has been set for new T0 of 0828. We're at approximately L6.
Roger.
So I did want to answer a few questions. There's, and so hopefully we answered the third stage SRB. We'll talk about that in a second because there's a question that touches back. And Jack wants to know, the moon is a good start.
And from
much more
Delta
attainable.
Launch Control, I'm Josh, and I'm joined with Mick Woltman from NASA's Launch Service Program, and we just heard a countdown from the launch teams. Can you characterize
LC,
what that
RC,
update was?
Net 1.
Yes, Josh.
Yeah, Roger,
What the team was doing is we were talking a little earlier. The team evaluated the ground data stream from the launch vehicle. They've determined they are good to proceed with launch this evening. So NASA's launch manager Omar Baez and United Launch Alliance's launch director Lou Manjuri have coordinated a new T0 time this morning for 4:28 a.m. That's approximately 16 minutes from now to get Parker Solar Probe on its way towards the sun. So we're hoping for a smooth liftoff this evening as the teams continue to work forward and through the count procedure and get ready to pick up the count coming out of the T-4 hold.
Sweet.
And so we'll pick up that count in just over 10 minutes.
I believe that is correct.
Sweet. Okay, hopefully we can answer a few more. So Ned in your head says, it's really annoying how closed off everyone is compared to SpaceX. That's, I would say Blue Origin is maybe annoyingly closed off, but ULA is actually very open. They talk about their equipment and their stuff all the time, and they give us a very good insight on what they're doing. But compared to SpaceX, they are a lot slower moving. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's why they produce such reliable vehicles, or one of the reasons why. But, so it's not that they aren't telling us things, they just don't have as many things to update.
12 minutes, 14 minutes.
14 minutes. I wish they would just put that clock up there for us. So it's just different than SpaceX, who changes they iterate so quickly. They have so many things to update it for us all the time, and they are very open. But don't discredit NASA or ULA for being equally open. They just again are a little slower to adopt, a little slower to change. Footnut guy says, did Northrop Grumman take over a launch partner? They took over Orbital ATK. Hang on.
Roger.
So yeah, so Northrop Grumman purchased Orbital ATK, who is known. They do a lot of satellites. They do a lot of defense stuff. They also made the SRBs, the solid rocket boosters, for a lot of people. But the space shuttle is probably the most common one that you might think of. Or the SLS is going to use six segment versions of those same solid rocket motors for the SLS, and those are now actually Northrop Grumman Space Innovation Systems, I think. So it's no longer Orbital ATK. The Orbital ATK has gone through so many different owners, it's just hard to keep up with. And thank you, Live to Learn. And German Fur, why a launch window if the sun's not moving? This is a great question. I don't know for sure, but one of the things, since they're doing a retrograde burn, they do want to fire.
From Delta Launch Control, you're looking at a live view of the Delta IV Heavy rocket with the additional third stage at Space Launch Complex 37 on Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. I'm Josh, and I'm joined by Mick Woltman of NASA's Launch Services Program. We've coordinated a new T0 for 4:28 a.m., which will leave about 10 minutes left in our window. And Mick, can you tell me, now that we've reset the clock to about L-12 minutes, what we can expect?
Yeah, as we move forward from here.
Okay, I'm gonna. So they're just gonna. I want to answer people's questions. People always want to know about the fire because you might be tuning in. That is normal. That's it's hydrogen boil off. So hydrogen is stored as a liquid, which is really cold, like minus hundreds of degrees Celsius. And as it warms back up into a gas, it vents out, and because it expands, so it vents out. And so they actually do purposefully alight it, so they don't end up with this big explosion if it gathers a giant, massive hydrogen cloud somewhere, and it comes in contact with something that would ignite it. So that's just boil off and the ignition of the hydrogen flame. That's normal. It's far away, actually. It doesn't look far away, but it's far away from the rocket. I've been out there to Launch Complex 37B. It's a long ways away. The tap off is really far away. So I want to get back to German Fur's question about why, if why do they have a launch window if the sun's not moving? Couldn't they put the probe in a parking orbit and let it just hang out and then launch it? Yes and no. They can't unfrill the solar panels until it's detached from the upper stage, so they can't let it sit there and park for weeks without collecting electricity. But the other thing is, with this, they need to fire retrograde, and they're going to do it at the launch inclination. So, obviously Earth's tilted at 23.5 degrees, and they need to fire so they line up with the sun, so they don't go into an elliptical orbit around the sun. So they're going to have to fire at that descending node, basically. And in order to do that, there's only one really opportunity a day to do that in the first swing around, within the first orbit. That's my guess. I don't know for sure, but I think it has something to do with internal batteries and the launch inclination, and as why do they need to do that within the first pass. Don't exactly quote that on me, but that would be my best guess. I'm sure someone will let us know for sure. If they want to go to the sun, should they launch at daytime? How do you land on the sun? You go at night. Derp. And Michael, you see people discussing an abort on the BFR. Do you think they would use a similar abort as the new Shepard and push the stage away from the booster? Michael, that is a great question. I also saw someone in the chat had mentioned, did I think it was bad that they didn't have an abort system on the space shuttle? Yes. Yes, I do. I'll go right out and say it. It was naive to think that it was airliner-like just because it had all these contingencies and things. So, yeah, the space shuttle was a reason why I think BFR needs to seriously consider having some kind of an abort system and not rely on it being some kind of airliner-like vehicle. I get that, you want to design it that way and that, airplanes don't have parachutes. They just fly and you just trust that the mechanics all work out. Maybe someday we will get there with rockets. Maybe someday rockets will be that reliable and that routine and that normal. But at least for the first crew BFR, I would really like it to have a pressure vessel that can detach and abort, similar to Blue Origin's New Shepard, or even the Dragon capsule with abort motors. But BFR itself can actually, it has 7 engines, 4 vacuum and 3 sea level optimized engines that say there was an abort on the pad. You might be able to light those up and do that, but they're slow to, they're slow to spool up. You have to spool them up. They're closed cycle, but they have to spin up the turbo pumps and everything. It's like a 3-second thing to really get an engine like that moving. So that's not good enough for a launch abort system. So they would need some kind of instantaneous, like they use with the Super Dracos, for the Crew Dragon capsule for SpaceX. Boop. They're using the Super Dracos, which do use a monoprop, and therefore it's hypergolic. So the second they touch, boom, it goes, and it does it instantly, basically, kind of like a solid rocket booster. So yeah, I personally would really like to see an abort system whenever there's people involved, and backups on backups and backups. And that's one of the reasons why we're all waiting so patiently for the commercial crew program to happen. And to get people launching into space from U.S. soil on top of, SpaceX's Dragon capsule and on top of Boeing's CST-100 Starliner. We want that. Actually, the crew won't be on top of the Starliner or the Dragon capsule. They'll be inside them, hopefully. They will be on top of an Atlas V rocket and a Falcon 9 rocket. But, there's been so many new certifications.
Systems locks.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Third stage systems. Third stage vehicle manager.
Go.
Electrical systems airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
Com. Com.
Com is go.
GCQ.
Go.
Operations support.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
HAZGAS.
Go.
ACS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ELA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count.
Let's do this.
MEQ established. Swing arm lock pins pulled.
Active.
Yes. Woo!
From Delta Launch Control, you just heard the terminal count readiness poll with permission to continue the count. I'm joined by Mick Woltman of NASA's Launch Service Program. Mick, can you get us up to speed on where we are tonight?
Yes, for those just tuning in, we're getting ready to come out of the T-4 hold with a new T0 of 4:28 a.m. this morning. The T clock had stopped at T-4, giving the team time to work through the EGSE issue that they had identified earlier in the count. The T clock, as we like to refer, is the official countdown clock. It had stopped at the T-4 mark and held there for some minutes to allow the team to assess the health of the Delta IV launch vehicle as we proceed forward with.
Okay, there's a few questions that I see that are coming up. I do want to give a quick reminder. We're coming up on almost T-5 minutes right now. Remember, this rocket will light itself on fire. You're going to see flames crawl up the vehicle on liftoff. That's normal. Again, that it is the hydrogen. They purposefully let it pump out first and let it ignite and char up the vehicle. The vehicle's going to look burnt when it comes off the pad, which is really funny. It's really cool. It looks really scary if you're not expecting it. So just get ready for that. So when you see that at right at like T-1 second, you'll see it belch out this giant flame to go, ah! Don't panic. I'll probably still half panic just because even though I know it's coming, it still looks scary, but it's normal and it's okay. Also, Mars Swiss had the question of, would the Falcon Heavy have been powerful enough for this mission without a third stage if it had been available when NASA bought the launch? It would have still needed a third stage, and actually it probably would have had to be some kind of expendable Falcon Heavy because here we go. We're into the terminal count now, so we actually finally are seeing, yes, this is good. This is good. Okay, I'll finish answering this. The Falcon Heavy, though, in reusable mode, which is how we'll probably see the Falcon Heavy from here on out, or hopefully forever almost, is less powerful than an expendable Delta IV Heavy, or at least less capable. So they would probably have to expend, say, the center core or something. I don't know that exact crossover, but the Falcon Heavy definitely could have done this mission had it have been, an actual contender at the time. Just trying to listen in here too, make sure I'm not missing anything. This is awesome. So, one more thing. People are, again, asking about the flame. That's normal. It's just a tap off of hydrogen that they let boil off and they ignite it so it doesn't go boom. You'll see that flame belching off to the left of the rocket in a couple of shots. No big deal. You'll see a lot of flames here and a lot of really powerful flames in a second. So, get ready. Yes.
45 minutes later, NASA's Parker Solar Probe will separate from the third stage, beginning its mission to study the sun.
FTS internal.
Flight termination system.
You just heard the call for the flight termination system to go internal. From now, we'll be listening to the launch teams live from the Delta Operations Center.
Flight pressure and flight level.
As we enter the final minutes of the countdown, we'll listen in to the...
NSC verifies spacecraft on internal power.
We'll listen to the launch team's count down into the final minutes of the count. And the NASA's Parker Solar Probe is verified to be on internal power. After launch, we'll hear the voice of United Launch Alliance, Patrick Moore, giving real live telemetry of the Delta IV performance.
The solid rocket boosters are not, or the side boosters are not solid rocket boosters. They're the same core all the way through, actually. They just throttle down. Ooh, yeah.
Hold. This is Marlin.
Oh, they just had a hold. Oh, that's detanking. That's bad.
LC is not ready. All personnel, go to race cycle pages, Operation 90.
Crap. No.
Okay, LC, it's a GH, helium regulator inlet press.
Roger.
Again, though, holds are cheaper than booms.
Okay, team, we held it T-minus 1 minute 55 seconds.
From Delta Launch Control, we are holding at the T-minus 1 minute 55 second mark in the count. We have 9 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in tonight's window.
So they will have to recycle the T-minus 4 minute countdown, I believe, if they're to proceed in this launch window, which normally a hold is not a good sign for tonight. Crap. I was not wanting to have to wake up and do this late tomorrow again?
Flight control, you ready to reset the clock T4 and holding?
Flight control is ready for that.
Roger. ALC, reset the countdown clock T minus 4 minutes and holding.
Roger.
Interesting. They're going for it again still. Okay.
PLE, evaluate LOX recycle and report if ready to restart LOX pumps.
Roger. LC
Pumps are running.
LC flight control, SFAP
Okay.
inactive, STS in pre-flight mode.
Roger.
LC countdown clock has been reset to T-minus 4 minutes and holding.
Roger. OSM, place SRM ignition switch to disabled position.
SRM is at disable.
OVM, perform third stage recycle checklist.
It'd be bad if they didn't recycle a third stage.
Are we going again tonight?
We're past T minus 2 minutes negative.
Copy that. At this point, we'll proceed to our power down checklist.
So they're calling it tonight.
LD, LC net 1.
LD on 1.
All right, LD with our scrub past L minus, or excuse me, our hold past T minus 2 minutes.
So I think the next
We need
opportunity will be
to recycle
tomorrow.
back to L minus 4 minutes. Window will not support that second attempt.
That is correct, so let's set up for a 24-hour recycle.
Roger.
All right, so I'll keep listening in to see when they talk about the next opportunity. I did want to finish Jack's question. 3 common cores, they're all the same. Then the upper stage is also liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen stage, so all liquids all the way up top. But then inside the payload fairing, they have tucked away a little tiny solid stage, just a kick stage. Okay, hold on.
Expired our time and our window for tonight's
All
launch.
stations recycle all systems back to T minus 4 and holding configuration.
So we'll begin to recycle and
occurred
go
at
for a
T-minus
24-hour
4:55.
turnaround time
Report
for the launch of
status
NASA's
activation.
Parker Solar Probe.
24 hours. All right. Well, join me tomorrow night again, guys. Ooh, I had people asking about this. I do have a lot of new shirts in my web store. So if you guys want an F1 engine on your shirt or on your chest, check out this. I have this in like gray and black and white, different shirt colors. They're really soft. They make everything I want is printed on nice, soft tri-blend material. So if you want a cool shirt, everydayastronaut.com. I'll show you guys my new. Check this out. This is gonna be V-nice. Look at this. I have another one that I added too. Check this out. So they're just detanking right now. I'm still listening in just in case we're missing something. I'm also added this one, but I haven't seen this one in person yet. But yeah, I've got an F1 engine, rocket science shirt, a bunch of new shirts. If you guys want to check that out, everydayastronaut.com for all your swag. I want to provide you guys good resources for cool shirts because I love nerdy shirts that have stuff like that. So yeah, look at that. I like that one. It's got my good old helmet. Yeah, so look at that. Yeah, so head on over to everydayastronaut.com if you guys want some cool shirts. There's a lot of them there now, so check that out if you want. Again, I'm going to get to bed, but I do obviously owe, like always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/everydayastronaut. If you want a chance to win flown space shuttle material, these things have been in space on a space shuttle. And I'll frame them up, sign them, ship them anywhere. For your chance to win, go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And go ahead and, so the way I do that is if you contribute $1 a month, you get your name in a hat for $1 basically. $10 10 times basically is what your chances then. And I do that at every 100 giveaways the following month. So we're coming up. We already hit 800, so I'll be giving one of these away already. When we get to 900, I'll give away that other piece. And then at 1,000, I'm doing a really big giveaway at 1,000. So if you want a chance to win some cool flown hardware, go to go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And thank you so much to our patrons, especially those in our Discord channel, our exclusive Discord channel. So if you want to chat more during launch and actually get behind the scenes of videos and stuff like that, consider becoming a Patreon. So thank you guys so much for your support. And also people, Renown Gaming, booms are fun in KSP, but not in real life. Very true. Shadow Airplane, how come they've turned around Block 5 Falcon 9 so quick? But it's been 6 months since Falcon Heavy, and it'll be another month or two until the next Falcon Heavy. Well, Falcon Heavy had to be almost entirely redesigned again using Block 5 architecture. So now that they're flying Block 5, they had to pretty much, and they're going to be reusing reflown Block 5s for their first, for their next Falcon Heavy. So they had to fly and get Block 5 totally ready to go, and flying quite a few times before they commit to reproducing another one in Block 5 as Falcon Heavy again. So, so it's a little bit of patience pants before we actually see another Falcon Heavy, but it should, I'm hoping to still see one in 2018 again. But that's kind of why. So, someone said go during the day. Same time tomorrow. Yep. So join me tomorrow again, guys. Unfortunately, I do need to mention this again because we're still coming up on, like, we only have a little bit more time. ProjectMars.com. This is just a contest that I'm a judge for. See my face down there. The other judges are like Gareth Edwards, he directed Star Wars, Bobak, who's an actual rocket scientist, a lot of really cool people, Nicole Stott, an astronaut, and another astronaut, Samantha, a lot of really, really cool people, Annette G. I don't know how I got on this list, actually. This is insane. But these people, we're going to be judging posters that you create and even cooler films. So if you want to produce a short film, just go to ProjectMarsCompetition.com. I've got that link in the description as well. Oh, it looks like we bonked my website. Sorry, guys. Yeah, my website seems to be down. Hamish wants to know what the Patreon money goes to. That is my salary, and that's the reason why I can afford to continue to upgrade equipment. That's why I have all these great lights, great cameras, great microphones. I just bought a bunch of sound equipment so that we could do wireless mics when I went and checked out Boeing's spacesuit. Just bought a new laptop so I could edit on the road so that you have as few times for downtimes. I'm just trying to really make sure I reinvest as much as I can into the product to make sure we're continuing to produce and provide the best content possible. I'm even starting, so now that the website's, well, not the website's actually currently down because you guys are crashing it, I think. There's articles up on the website. I'm working about like 60 to 70 hours a week on it. I'm working on trying to hire out some of those articles. So it's just expanding the whole Everyday Astronaut, everything, because I want that to be your one resource of where to go for spaceflight news in an easy to understand and excitable way. Provide resources for you to send to your friends, that are maybe, well, I don't quite get this or that. Just be like, here, check out this video. This is easily digestible. That's my whole point. That's what it goes to. But yeah, I just wanted to real quick wrap up the whole Project Mars. Again, I'm not getting paid for this or anything. I'm just volunteering to be a judge, and they need more people to apply because I think it ends August 31st. So get a film in. You can win $10,000 if your film's picked. You'll be seen by Gareth freaking Edwards from Star Wars, Bobak. A lot of really cool people will see your work. Try to make me cry. Try to produce a film that makes me cry. Go to ProjectMarsCompetition.com. It'll be really, really cool. Show me your artwork. Do a poster. Just get inspired and do some really cool things. Even if you're using a smartphone, it doesn't matter. Produce something cool. Tell a cool story. Make something cool. Make something exciting that talks about spaceflight. So yeah, again, ProjectMarsCompetition.com. Link in the description. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, somebody says that's great. Morgan says T-shirt idea, holds are cheaper than booms. I like that. That's great. So again, yeah, so tomorrow night they will be reattempting this 24-hour turnaround. So looks like I'm going to sleep tonight and then have to do the same thing again tomorrow. So unfortunately, I actually fly out kind of early on Sunday. I'll be out at SpaceX on Monday. So I will not be able to, if it scrubs again tomorrow, I don't think I'll be able to cover it. I only probably have 2 opportunities for a while. I do have a really exciting live stream coming up next Wednesday. I'm going to drop it on you guys now. I think my patrons know about this. But I'm actually going to have Emily Calandrelli here in studio to answer questions. She's actually here to film for Exploration Outer Space. You might be familiar with her. She's the space gal on the internet. She's a co-host or a contributor on Bill Nye's show. She's going to be here in my house. She's actually a good friend of mine, but we're going to do a live stream where you can ask her questions, especially about, she is an aerospace engineer. She is brilliant. And if you want to know, especially she's really passionate about education and also getting women involved in STEM and STEAM. She's a great person to ask good questions about how to get involved in the aerospace industry. She is really cool. She is awesome. So I'm really excited to have her here. We'll be doing that next Wednesday. So get ready to tune in for that and think of good questions to ask, and it'll be a lot of fun. So, yeah. Let's see. So, yeah, tomorrow it'll be the same time as tonight. The launch opportunity tonight was at, it started at 7:36 UTC, or 7:33 UTC, which was 4:30. Wait, we have the times a little bit wrong. Sorry. I need to fix that. That's me mistyping. 7:33 and 7, wait. Oh, yeah. So 3:33 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 7:33 UTC. So that'll be the same time tomorrow night. So yeah, so go ahead and let's do that, guys. So I do need a shave. I absolutely need a shave. It's been a long week. Yes, there's discounts for patrons. Don't you guys? That was the first thing. You should have got an email in the Discord. You guys are asking. Yes, there's discounts for Patreon supporters. So there you go. Spaces. I think Renown meant to say SpaceX flight suit. No. No, it won't be SpaceX's flight suit. Ooh, they're still talking on the launch control. Just listen to this real quick.
3:53, but we expired our time in the window. Mick, can you tell us a little more?
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. Teams worked very hard this evening, diligently getting through the launch process, looking at everything that they had to get into the terminal count this evening. As we picked up the count at T-4 and got into terminal count, the team received a gaseous helium reg pressure alarm that kicked them out. That was what you heard the hold on the countdown net was for. The team is evaluating that and looking at it. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time this evening to go troubleshoot that and try again for a launch. So we're going to lean forward here and plan for a 24-hour turnaround tomorrow for a launch time of 3:31 a.m. However, that is contingent upon the detanking process this evening and the team continuing their evaluation of the gaseous helium reg alarm. If they determine or find anything that they can't get ready for tomorrow's launch attempt, the launch management team will get together and determine if we maintain that 24-hour turnaround or if we go to a 48-hour turnaround. So that's where we are right now. Unfortunately, we did scrub this evening due to this issue, but the teams will continue to work this problem and move forward to try to get Parker Solar Probe on its way to the sun.
Thank you, Mick, for the update. And with that update, we'll now go back to Marie Lewis.
All right, so that's going to be it for me, guys. I got to go to bed, so I can hopefully do this again tomorrow if it does a 24-hour turnaround. 40-hour turnaround might be hard. I might have to stream from my friend's house in California if that's the case. Cody's Lab said if I do a holes are cheaper than booms, he'll do something else, which is hilarious. I don't remember what it was. I think it's I watch streams for the booms. Boo, Cody. Boo. Bad. And Choco Larda asked this weekend as the Persuades meteor shower, do rocket launches take this into consideration? That's actually a pretty good question. I don't think they need to really worry about it because still, even though you might see a couple cool little meteors every now and then, I don't really think it matters. The chances of that hitting anything is almost zero still. So I just don't think it's even a consideration. But that's a great question. All right, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure, and I've got a lot of content coming up, a lot more content, and I have 6 videos in the backlog right now. It's utterly unbelievable. Be sure and check out everydayastronaut.com and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. Check out my new shirts, my web store, everydayastronaut.com as well. And if you want to help, support patreon.com/everydayastronaut. So thank you guys. I'm going to bed. Hopefully we'll see you guys in 23 or 22 hours now. So have a great night or a great day, I guess, most likely. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon. All right, bye.
I think we all dreamt about going to space when we were kids. But when the space shuttle program ended in 2011, I discovered a void in my life. That emptiness led to a newfound obsession with space. A few years later, I wound up bidding on a Russian spacesuit as a joke. When the box arrived at my doorstep, my friends asked, "What are you going to do with a spacesuit?" The answer? What can't I do with a spacesuit? That's how Everyday Astronaut was born. Since then, the suit hasn't left my side. It's even gone around the world with me. From remote villages in Myanmar, rockets and spaceships. To beautiful fields in Norway. I'm fighting a cow to get a picture right now.
Here I am on vacation in the beautiful Norway with my beautiful boyfriend.
I even proposed to my wife in the suit at Machu Picchu in Peru. These days I work with leaders in the space industry to create fun and inspirational content. I've even been invited to different NASA facilities across the country, all for the sake of sharing my excitement with the world. Hey there, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but NASA is doing some incredible This is church for us space nerds.
This is where Gene Kranz was sitting when people first met about him.
This is with permission.
I still don't know how. I love that I'm standing on something that says urine bags.
This thing's gonna fly like a cat in heat. Whatever that means. That dog's gonna have a sore throat by the end of the day, I'll tell you that. Especially once he tries to explain to his friends that he just saw an astronaut flying majestically through the sky for an hour.
This thing has officially become the bane of my existence.
Everyday Astronaut's mission is to bring space down to Earth for everyday people, to communicate science through humor and imagination, but most importantly, to spark your curiosity, to want to find your place in the cosmos. Join my adventures as I seek to find out why exploring space is important, inspiring, and quite frankly, really, really neat. Show your support by visiting patreon.com/everydayastronaut.